Hello, welcome. My name is Nick Hayden, and I run the Codercise challenge here on Twitch. A little space just for me to try out some ideas and test some new technology and hopefully teach you something along the way. So today we're going to be looking at a headless CMS called Strapi. I think that's how you pronounce it. It could be, I don't know, Strapi. I'm sure there's some other pronunciation I'm getting wrong. So Strapi is a headless CMS, which means that when you compare it to a normal sort of traditional CMS, like maybe WordPress or Craft CMS, you have the CMS side of things where your admin panel is, and then you also have sort of the generated web pages coming out of it. And your CMS probably has some sort of a templating language. It could be Twig, it could just be like PHP. There's a whole kind of range there, and they all have their own benefits. When you're working with a headless CMS, you don't have a head, which means there's no templating, there's nothing being rendered by the CMS, which maybe doesn't seem that great to begin with, but it becomes pretty powerful when you think about using your content in different places. So maybe you have a website, a mobile app, or maybe a series of mobile apps. You can distribute this content from your CMS. You can make those API requests and push that data out across multiple platforms, which I think is pretty nifty. Often, all headless CMSs, I guess, are API based. They commonly use GraphQL, sometimes REST APIs as well. Strapi, which we'll be looking at today, uses both. I think you need to use a plugin for GraphQL. I haven't explored it too much, so we'll be kind of doing it together. Another reason you might want to use a headless CMS could be something like maybe you're using Shopify for your e-commerce, and then you want to use something else for your content, where you want to be having a lot of customized blocks. You want to have like maybe a banner and a couple of different flexible components down the page. And the headless CMS would let you do that rather than being locked into what the platform like Shopify provides for you. The reason we're looking at Strapi today is it's free, which is always a big plus. It is open source. It is self-hosted, which is a bit interesting to me because a lot of the other platforms like Contentful or Prismic, you're kind of locking yourself into using that platform, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think it's worth exploring sort of self-hosted options as well, and maybe there's some benefits there that we'll be able to pick up along the way. I was right, it is RESTful or GraphQL. We'll probably start with REST just because it's a little bit easier to explain, and we can go kind of from there and figure out what's going on. Yeah, let's have a quick look around the site. So it talks about a flexible data structure and powerful features to customize your API. It does kind of talk and suggest that we'll be able to create lots of different flexible content modules. I know for Contentful you can get a little bit locked into their block structure, which isn't always kind of what you're after. Any content types, that's pretty good, without the destruction of CMS complexities, which we'll see how true this is. This might turn out to not be true. We can look to the left here, some of the technologies that they're talking about. They've got Node.js, which I believe Strapi is built on. I think it is a Node.js application. Next.js, so that is a server-side rendered React.js kind of static site tooling. React, everyone's favorite JavaScript framework. AWS, I guess they're probably saying that you can host it on AWS or Netlify. Similar, I guess, Amazon and Netlify. Maybe Netlify does a little bit more for you, where AWS is kind of like a real solid does everything for you cloud infrastructure platform, where you have a lot of control there. Cool, so we've got Strapi API from any client using REST or GraphQL. Based on Apollo, our GraphQL plugin offers a full compatibility with the whole GraphQL ecosystem. You can see here how they're kind of querying with GraphQL. Here, it's a pretty nifty way to query data and get information out of an API. So we'll see, what Strapi is going to be able to give us there. Deploying in one click on DigitalOcean, AWS, or Heroku. So interesting that they're talking about being self-hosted, and then kind of coming back into these one-click deploy platforms. I think it's probably good if you're the sort of company that is dealing a lot with a lot of clients. Maybe you've got a lot of websites coming along. Being able to do these one-click deployments, not really thinking about your server infrastructure is always a big win, I think. Okay, cool. And here we've got some dev tools that they recommend. What do they talk about? Favorite databases, front-end frameworks, or static site generators. So Gatsby is probably the most, maybe the most common, perhaps, in the static site generator world at the moment. They're doing a lot of work there, a lot of marketing behind it. It is generally for static websites, so when your content isn't changing much, although it's pretty easy to rebuild a website. Vue.js, interesting that they've included Gatsby first and then Vue.js. So Gatsby is based on React, Vue is based on Vue. It is just its own JavaScript framework. I guess maybe they're trying to get a distinction there. They've got React a little bit further down the page. Next.js is very similar to Gatsby. Angular, got to include it. Our favorite enterprise JavaScript framework. Cool, this is just a bit about them. Testimony. I like this slider thing. The slider control is pretty interesting. That's pretty cool. I wonder if it's just like a normal slider. Oops, I can't even click on it. Let's inspect this quickly and see what they did. Come on. There we go. So it's a handle. And it's using transform on it. Slider. Some sort of a library maybe. Is this an input? No, it's just a handle, and then that's an image. Okay. That's an image for the arrows, which I guess makes sense. They're specific about it. Progress bar is just a background. Nope. Media is object. Oops. Someone didn't render their information correctly. So that's fine. I like it. Nifty. Scrolling down the page. Okay, so we're at the bottom now. Let's have a quick look over at the GitHub repository and see what they've got going on underneath it. So, coming down to the README. Okay, this is what we're going to be seeing inside it. They've got 10,000 people in Slack. I haven't looked at that yet. 266,000 downloads a month is pretty good. Interesting to know if that would be production users or just people kind of testing it out and demoing it. Alright, we've got a quick start project here. With this quick start command to create a Strapi project instantly. We've also got the npx command there. Operating systems, yep, that's sort of us. Oh, they've got a Docker repo as well, that's good. Yeah, this is cool. Okay, so that's really nice to see. This is it's hosted by Strapi as well. So that is a Docker setup that will that they've made for you. That's great. That's fantastic to know that it is supported by the project itself. It's always nice compared to trying to set up your own or using one that someone else has made. Yep, so it's based on Node. We need Node 10. I'll be using Node 12 today. Databases, this is good. I think when we set it up using the quick start, we're going to be using SQLite. We've also got MySQL, MariaDB, Postgres, and Mongo, which is cool. That's really nice that you'd be able to set this up with, I guess, some of the more like cloud infrastructure databases. That's going to be really, really useful. So we're going to continue down, got some feature list, contributing, all the community side of things. So the YouTube channel, that's good. I'm going to go give that a subscribe. Cool. All right, so let's get into it. Let's have a quick start. So here I am. I can kind of see my command through the terminal here. So we're going to do yarn create. Oh, sorry. First of all, just to show you what I'm working with, I have got Node 12.18.2, which is the LTS version. NPM is 6, yarn 1.22.4. Cool. And there's nothing in this directory. So I'm going to run yarn create. It's interesting as well. Yarn is recommended by Strapi. That's cool. That's good to know that they've kind of chosen a side there. So yarn create Strapi-app. What am I going to call this website? Let's call this maybe Codercise marketing. All right. So, and I'm going to add the -- quick start flag here. Not quite sure what that does. What we'll do is we'll run through that and then we'll run it without it and see what the difference is. This website, don't have much of a plan for it. I'm thinking we're just going to create a couple of pages. So about, contact, and a home page. We'll have a listing pages. So it'll be a list of all of our pages. And then we'll create some content blocks, some flexible content blocks that can be added onto page. I'm going to run this quick start command. All right, this is going to install. Beep boop. Okay, cruising along, linking our dependencies, installing here, creating quick start project, creating files, installing dependencies again. Okay, not much is happening. It's just kind of ticking through. Fetching more packages. All right. So, give these guys a subscribe. Cool. So, while that's going on, I'm just going to head over to the documentation. So that was under resources documentation. I've got a quick start guide here as well. Great. So after our project finishes installing, it's still cruising along here. We're going to go to, you can tell they've got a bit of a sense of humor. The port they've chosen is LEET 1337. I think that's funny. I like it. I like the humor. I'm just going to plug my charger in. Okay, that's good. That'll make the computer a little bit happier. Cool. So, complete the form to create the first administrator user. Alright, this is still building. Nearly done. Dependencies installed successfully. Here's a list of commands for our project. So we've got yarn develop, start Strapi in watch mode, yarn start, start Strapi without watch mode, yarn build, builds the Strapi admin panel, yarn Strapi display all available commands. Cool. You can start by doing cd into my directory and then yarn develop. Now, okay, so here it looks like it's already started itself. So it's running Strapi build, which is going to build the admin panel for us. Running our application. Okay, so once you run Quick Start, it's going to boot straight into the app itself. I don't know if that's good. I think I would prefer it to install itself and then stop and then wait for me to begin it. Alright, so we've got one more thing. Create your first administrator by going to the administration panel at http:// localhost :1337/admin. You can see here it's just kind of got some requests coming through. Alright, here we are. Okay, so my username is going to be Codercise marketing. My password is going to be very secret. And my email this can just be strapi@codercise.com. Alright, ready to start. So what's going to happen now? Okay, we've come straight into the admin panel. You can see a few different requests here. And now, great. Alright, this is the admin panel, which looks nice. This is a nice, nice piece of software. You can tell that they're thinking about kind of who's using this platform and what they're doing with it. Got a few different languages in here. Pretty interested to see what their Arabic looks like. Okay, cool. So some of it's localized, some of it isn't. Overall, that is a very, I guess, nice way of printing Arabic. It's pretty good. Pretty good. It's a little bit small. Generally, reading Arabic online, you want it to be a little bit larger. But no, that's good. It didn't break the layout, which is really cool. It's also really fast. Look at that, changing between these different languages. What if we go, they don't have, oh they do. Cool, we can also go to Chinese characters, which is great. Look at that, that worked straight away. That is really cool to see. The team that made Strapi is French. So I imagine they enjoy having software localized for their language, and that looks like something that they've kind of put some effort into. Right. Okay, so Codercise marketing, that was my username. I've got my profile. Cool, I've got this. Oh, I can block people. Configure the view. Refresh that. Let's see what configure the view does. Oh cool, I can add other fields. Can I add other fields? No. What if I create another user? I wonder if I can do that. I'm going John Smith at Codercise.com. Another very secure password. We're going to save him. So now we've got John Smith. Edit fields. Oh yeah, cool. So I can add another field here. Maybe I could say I'm going to add a rich text field, and I might call that. Actually, let's not add a rich text field. Let's add another simpler one. And enumeration. So it's going to be a list of values, and we'll call this department. So we have marketing, engineering, sales. I'm going to finish that. Save. Okay, so it's restarting the server. It did a full boot then. That's interesting. Launched in 2,516 milliseconds. I mean, that's okay. It's not bad. I kind of wish it didn't have to reboot itself. So now I've created that field. What do we do now? I'm going back to my user collection type. Ah, I see. My admin user is not considered a user. It must be protected somehow. Okay. And I've got department here. Choose here. I wonder if I can set that as a default. Okay, we're going to set it with marketing. Save. Okay. When you save, it takes you back to the listing. I think I would prefer it if it kept me here. What if I change that again? There's no autosave either. So I have to save, come back. It's a little bit risky. I think I'd prefer autosaving. But that's something we can kind of work on. Oh, nice. Here I've got, so what I did then, I went configure the view. And this looks like I'm able to kind of move these fields around. So what I've done there, I've set username, email, password, my new department field, and I moved that one up, and I moved these two fields down here. Modify it. Go back. Yeah, great. So now I've got my 4 fields and my 2 booleans here. That's great. That is really nice. That one, none of that required the reboot either. I think it's just adding a new content type. So what's a collection type? Content type builders. Got some different things in here. Got a marketplace as well. Extend your app effortlessly. Okay, there's not much going on here. We do have GraphQL. Okay, that's funny. They've got an icon here that kind of suggests that it's a link that you might be able to click off somewhere else. But I don't think it's actually a link. Yeah. Okay. So they've got like divs, the name of the plugin, and then the SVG, which has where is it? Maybe that whole thing. No, it's just the SVG. So the SVG has a hover state on it, but it doesn't actually take you anywhere. Oh, that's alright. So we've also got GraphQL. We can download that. I'm not quite sure what that'll do. We're going to have a play around with that in a little bit. We've got permissions, we've got roles, we've got users. There's single types and we have collection types. Let's head over here. Let's see what they say. So navigate to plugins, content type builder. So they're talking about restaurants here. New collection type, restaurant, continue. And they add some fields. And then they save and wait for Strapi to restart. Then a category content type. And what do they call that? Into category. Required field, unique field. Click the plus to add another field. Relation. Restaurant. So one restaurant can have many categories. Cool, this will be interesting to look at. And you add content to your restaurant type, categories to your category type. Okay. Alright, I think I have a bit of an idea on how we can kind of play around with this. Interesting as well, they've got a fav icon which is the same for the local app running that they do for their marketing website. and then no favicon for the docs. A little bit confusing, but that's fine. Strapi is listed in Wappalizer, it's React, Express, Webpack, Babel, Lodash, Node and Express, that's cool. And then components, I wonder what components are. Can we have a look here? Actually, let's just start adding a content type to it. So we're going to add a new collection type. It's going to be called page. Now, did they call it restaurants or restaurant? Into restaurant, singular. So they used a singular lowercase name. Alright, I'm going to go continue. Select a field, so text, so it can be no space is allowed for the name of the attribute. I'm going to use that sort of case in there. So page title, I'll go lowercase. I think I prefer it like that. Yeah. Okay, I clicked off it and it okay, yeah, if you click off the modal, it's going to hide the modal. Of course, page title, short text. We'll add another field. I'm going to call it page intro. My advanced settings, default value. Oh, you can add a regex, that's cool. Private required. Private field's really interesting. It won't show up in the API response. I wonder why you would do that for this headless stuff, where kind of everything is consumed. Maybe you'd be locking content down to a specific kind of user. Maybe it's like a role thing. I guess that makes sense. Max length, min length. They've truncated some text here. You won't be able to create an entry if there is an existing entry with IDE ... Okay, we'll just go back to base settings. It didn't look like there was anything too interesting. Page intro is going to be long text. Add another field. Okay, so page intro should maybe be. No, I think long text is good actually. Page title, page intro. Let's change this to be page content. Yeah, cool. So that was really easy to change that field name. I'm gonna open a new tab here, and I'm gonna check out what is going on in this project. So we should have VS Code up here now. Whoops, that didn't take me to the right directory at all. Development, streaming. What do we call it? Codercise marketing was the name of the project. I'm going to open that one up. Cool. I've got a few different things in here. Here's my favicon. Interesting that that's not being used. Got the README. Okay, README's, that's funny. Sometimes you'll see people just kind of leave the framework's README in there. This one looks, because it's so small, it looks like it's really encouraging you to write your own. The package JSON, this is cool. It's really, really light. There's not much in here. Now there might be a lot of things in my yarn lock, which is okay. Sort of my dependencies. We can explore these another time. But that looks, yeah, pretty small. Which is nice. So we've got engines, so node greater than 10, npm 6, which we saw on the documentation page. Got an environment file here. That's good. There is no environment file in the project though. That's interesting. Maybe it's under config. No. Build. No. Public. Extensions? No, not at all. Nothing. Okay. Cache. Okay, so in that .tmp folder, I've got my database, which looks like it is going to be my SQLite database. Which is good, and we could see it. Here in the dependencies that it's calling that in. What's it ignoring? That's a nice get ignore file. It's ignored an env file, which is very useful. Yes, lint. Cool, that's good as well. Got the API. Okay, so what I've done there, I've got an API page, which is the content type I created before. Then I've gone models and page.settings.json. You can see here we've got attributes: page title, type string, page content, type text, private false. Yeah. So what if I add another field in here? I suspect it needed a reboot when I created a new content type, but not a field. So I wonder if I can do that. So maybe we can call it something like what would be another good name for a field? Maybe CTA link. And that can just be a string. Save. Okay. The file changed, and then the server is restarting. Welcome back. There it is. It was faster that time. If I refresh this page, is it going to be there? It's there. Nice. But I can't have a space. The value not match the regex. That's probably not the best name. But that's alright, that's cool. Yeah. That's really cool. The reason I think that's cool is you'd be able to grab these API folders and just bump them into a new project. We've got the core controller here, which has nothing in it, which I imagine means we can extend it. Same for the model. Okay, routes. So I've gone API page config routes.json. This is a object which just seems to have all of our routes in it, which is nifty. So what I'll do next, I'm going to head over to collection types, pages. I created that user before, that John Smith user. I'm just going to try and follow the same steps and see if we can create a page. This layout is kind of weird, but we can do configure the view again. So bump that one up there. Page title, CTA link, page content. Yep, I want to do that. I think I'd actually prefer if CTA link was underneath. That's I like that you can it's not going to let me put it underneath. That's disappointing. Alright. What I was trying to do there was put page content onto its own line, but it doesn't look like it'll be able to do that. So I'm just going to have the CTA link next to the page title. So that's fine. I'm going to go back. homepage. CTA link can be just to twitch.tv/Codercise. Page content, I'm just going to grab some Ipsum.com. Great, I'm not actually going to generate it, I'm just going to grab straight from there and save it. That was really easy. Back in, look at that, that's beautiful. I can delete all of them if I wanted. Create another page, create a couple of them. That's going to be the about page, which can be some simple content. This is the about page for the Codercise website. Cool. Save. So I've got 2 pages now. Can I sort them? Yep, I can sort by ID or page title. Page content doesn't seem like the best, but that's all right. And what a contact page. This one will have a CTA link. Maybe it's going to have no CTA link. Let's try that. And page content. This is the page you can contact us on. And I'm going to save. Cool. So now I've got my pages. It does say edit fields. Okay. It says edit fields or configure the view. This would affect all pages. It might be nice to have that explicit somewhere. But that is fine as well. Cool. This is good. Saved it. I've got my pages. So now I've got pages, I've got a few different bits of content in here. This one doesn't have that field there. And it's got pagination as well. Nice, so I've clicked that cog and I can get different fields. Maybe you want to have updated at rather than created at. Interesting to note that they use underscores in their field names rather than the sort of case that I've used here. Media library. I wonder where this uploads it to. I've got my API database. Yep. Okay, there's that database we were looking for before. So it's using bookshelf connector to an SQL client in that path. The server is just running on localhost on 1337, Bootstrap, cron. It's got cron jobs built in. Cool. So you do like your cron format, pass in a function. I guess it does something. And I've got docs on it as well. That'll be a cool thing we can explore together later on. Responses, custom response for 404. And that's using that sort of express CTX sort of style that you're probably familiar with if you've worked with Express before. Cool, so I'm looking at routes again, and I'm just seeing what we've got under pages. Looks like we can get individual page, the count of pages, page by ID. We can post, we can create by an ID as well. I wonder if I could turn that off so people can only go through local or through the CMS, nothing else. Imagine that's what that policies is set for. Cool. Alright, so I'm just going to upload an asset and see what this does. Pictures, I'm going to go to desktop wallpapers. Have you logged off your terminal? I'm going to upload one asset to the asset library. Did that add it in here somewhere, do you think? Got some different things in the build directory. Extensions, user permissions, no. Public. There we go. Public uploads, and then it's got the image in there. And I'm just going to see, sort of off screen, if that is the same file name, and it is. So it's used the same file name, and then with a hash of some kind after it. Nifty. Cool. That is good to know. Easy to pass that folder around between some different sites. So let's continue on. We've created some pages, and now we need to get these pages out. So I'm going to use Postman, which if you've worked with APIs before, you're probably familiar with it. It is a very, very common API testing tool. Basically, it's going to let me just make requests to an endpoint. So what are we on? We're on localhost 1337. So if I didn't get that, what's it going to send back? Okay, that's the thing. Then we had API with our routes file here. So we get pages. Different here. I've got plugins again. Let's have a look. Let's have a look here. The marketplace. So look at that content manager. Let's see what that does. Oh, nothing. Okay. Still not sure how this site works. Ah, webhooks, nifty ads. So you've got webhooks here. Let's have a look at that documentation quickly. If you haven't worked with a webhook, basically you can trigger an event based on some other sort of action happening elsewhere. So maybe if you created a new page, you could trigger a webhook to go and fire off something else. It could be, they mention here a CI/CD build or something. Would be really cool. Entry, create, update, delete, and media. So media, maybe you're sending that off to like a S3 bucket or something, or like resizing an image, or cool. And there's that media library. Yeah, like doing some optimization and responsive friendly upload. Cool. So if I'm back on my page, let's hop over to the quick start guide. Content API, here we go, API endpoints. Great. So, /content type. Create a content type, there'll be a certain number of REST API endpoints available to interact with it. An example, let's consider the following. Components don't have API endpoints, okay. Content types, we've got a restaurant, a collection type, and a home page, which is a single type. Components. Interesting. So I've created a page, the home page as a page, where here they're saying they would create that as a single type, which I guess depends on kind of what you're doing with your home page. Get /restaurants. So if I do /pages, I get a 403 forbidden. Now I did read about this before, a little bit of my study before I did this. So this problem will probably come up, I guess it will come up every time we create a new endpoint. We have, so go to roles and permissions on the left hand side, we go public. You can see here we've got permissions, only actions bound by a route are listed below. And then we whitelist or allow list we've got page here, we go find and find one. Cool, okay, yeah, nice. So now we've allowed this. You can't create them on the API, you can't count them, update or delete them on the API, but you can find and get an individual one. So I'm going to save that. I wonder if that updated my routes policy. Let's close it and reopen it. No. And it did not need to recreate or reboot the server, which is good. I'm going to try that route again. Hey, look at that. So what we've done here is we've queried this route. So http://localhost on port 1337/pages. And then that's returned an object of our page content. So we've got the ID, we've got page title, that page content I included before, the CTA link, and then the timestamps. That's fantastic. And if I go, so we also enabled find one. So if I do /1, which matches that ID, yes, look at that. We're going to get the first one. If I do number 2, I'm going to get second one, number 3. Cool. That's really good. And can I access this in the browser as well? I wonder. Yep. There we go. JSON straight in the browser. Nice. So that's good. That's good. We've got a public role here. I guess we could create another role called like API or something, and customize those permissions a little bit further. Goes to say with Headless, anything you're making public via the API, unless you're authenticating those requests, you should assume that someone else can get it. Right now, if this was on codercise.com/pages, anyone in the world could query that and get my page data back. Doesn't really matter, right? Like if they're getting page content, that's kind of okay. You've made it a little bit easier for them if they were going to scrape it, but not too much to worry about there, I don't think. So let's continue on. So now we've got that. That's really cool. I just had an idea. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and create like a related pages where each page will have other related pages here. So homepage will be related to about and contact. Oops. About will be related to contact and home, and then contact will be related to about and home. I'm also going to rename this from homepage to just be home. So coming in here, I remove that, send, boom. That was quick. That was very quick. Okay, so we're going to edit this. Edit the fields on the right hand side again. Add another field. Let's pop something else in there. What should it be? Maybe it'll be a relation. Refers to a collection type. That was what we were creating before. Page has one page. Page has and belongs to one page. Page belongs to many pages. Page has many pages. That's very confusing. Page has and belongs to many pages. Page has many pages. Okay. This is very confusing because I'm using pages and pages, but that's okay. My page could have many pages. Finish. I think that's what I wanted. Okay, I'm restarting again. You can see it in my console. Firing itself up. Pages. Let's go back to that home page. Configure the view. Okay. When I created that field, it did not add it back into this sort of editor. So I'm going to go configure the view. I'm going to drop this fella in there. No, that didn't work. Oh, interesting. It's on the right hand side over here. That's not what I wanted at all. What else could I add? I think that's strange. I'm not really sure what it's doing. Custom column names. Unique field. So I call it related pages. Finish, okay. Go back, oops, save it. I'm gonna restart again. I can see that getting a little bit annoying. It's pretty quick, so I guess I wouldn't be too worried about it. The drag and drop's pretty nice. I'm very curious why it's kind of off to the side. It doesn't seem very intuitive. It's very small. And maybe you want to have like a related products or something. But I wonder if maybe I need to be creating a component. I've got components here. Let's have a play with this. So if I call it related pages, select a category. Page component. It's going to be okay. So we're going to call it page components. Select a category. I guess that's going to be a parent of this. We need a icon. I like these icons. These are nice. I think this is this font awesome maybe? Let's have a look. What is a good one? What is a good icon that says pages? Let's make it maybe, let's make it this guy, this plus folder here. The value not match the regex. Do you reckon they'll accept my pull request to change that? Okay, page components. Okay. Related pages. Relation. Related page has many pages. Finish. One related page component. Related pages. What I want to do is make sure this language is intuitive when someone's creating content. What if I refresh? Oh, I've lost my component. First I'm going to delete this. I don't want that field anymore. This is looking at my model again to see what it's doing. We lost that, that's alright. Related pages. Page components. I've called it related pages component and then page components. Maybe I'll just use any old icon this time. Cool. I'm not really sure what happened there. So related pages component has many pages. Finish. Save. Waiting for a restart. I've got it here. Okay. Add another field. Component. Using existing component. Select component. Related. Okay, nice. This one is going to be a single component because we're going to be grouping some fields together. Add new component. It's going to be called related pages, and it is going to be part of the page components related pages component. Finish. Save. Gone through about 4 or 5 restarts. I hope they figure out the restarting thing, because that's going to get old. Home. Related pages. This is nice. Oops. Can't be related to itself. Now, contact. You can have recursive here, which, I mean, it's not wrong. I wonder if there's a way to validate that. Interesting UI thing. The link does not go on the rest of it. It's only on that plus. Which is, I guess, forgivable. Cool. So what have I got now? Now I've got home, I've got my CTA link, I've got my page content, then I've got related pages. If I come down here, can I edit this? Unique, custom columns, I'm gonna add another field to it. Related pages title. Saves. Is this updating in here? Yeah. Related pages type component. Repeatable false, and then the component name there. And here's my component. That's great. So you would be able to copy this across to a range of different sites, and it will just kind of work every time. That's nifty. Gosh, I didn't want to do that at all. Set the component flag. Okay. What I did there, I saw this little pencil, that appears here, and I went to click it because I was on the edge, and when I clicked it, it had turned into this red X, which then removed that whole component. What I wanted was this set the components layout button down here, because what I want to do is have my page title be the first thing. I think that's modified it for everyone. Let's have a look back on my pages. What have we got now? Cool. Now I can have a title. Things that might interest you. Oops. My pages. So now on each of my pages, I'm going to be able to have unique titles there. Let's query this thing again. Let's see what's going on. Okay. Now, I mean, this isn't wrong, but I wonder if I wonder if it's going to get too crazy. So what's happened here is we've got, I'm calling all of my pages again. I'm going to do this on one page. So I've called my page with the ID 1, which is my home page. We've got that page content, which corresponds to this field. We've got CTA link page title, which appear on the API. And I've got my related pages component, ID of 1, and the title. Then we've got the related pages, but it's included all of the information in that page. Just the top level fields though, okay? I don't mind that. So it's included the top level fields, but it has not included any of the components, which I think is good. It gets a little bit crazy. You can see here, so this is the about page. We've got page content, CTA link, timestamps, then we have related pages, and then we have all of that home page content, all the contacts. Which I don't think is too bad. If it's only keeping these fields, that's alright, because most of the big bits are going to be in your related pages components. And that's where you could get sort of in recursive hell. But it seems like they've kind of worked around that a little bit. Nice. So I'm going to stop here for now. We're coming up on the hour mark. I hope you enjoyed having a look through Strapi and seeing kind of how it works and learning a little bit about the headless side of things. Next time we're going to be working on connecting the Strapi API here into a Create React app application. We'll be using Tailwind for that, which might be interesting to a few people. And just kind of building out a little bit more of this site and making it accessible outside of the API. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please give me a subscribe or a follow on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Codercise. There'll be a YouTube link and some show notes as well on the YouTube channel. You'll be able to find this as Codercise #1 Strapi Exploration. Look forward to seeing you in the future, and thanks for watching. Bye.